Indeed, ATO is forcing. You said the Ghana currency is rapidly appreciating against the United States dollars. See, an offer $1, 11 Ghana cedis. Oko baby crowd there 10.9. Na same way I call Swiss Cedi I appreciate NPP for any new. Starting NPP for no more kasa. Oh, a 9-day wonders. A better day. A saber cost running at the bath. NPP for say. Cedi no appreciate ya na appreciate ya na adwen say e kofom te say o ma sese o moton no. Last week na Dr. Bawumia kopie mo Cambridge University come lectures na on the as usual opposition bia normal lectures so opposition or economics oba into government no adane IT guy so what I say come lectures e wo Cambridge University na hono odi kotudwa say e yo no Bawumia no a policies or the good kwemu and na ma say Cedi no appreciate ya NDC for take credit of take credit say woman na ye to say ato forcing samije mfimo ne president Mahama take credit say e yo madwuma omo na ya ma Cedi no appreciate no yo no Dr. Bawumia and ye dey and ye or this answer mo tudwa no and uncle Kwesi Pratt I reply Bawumia was a insult say Bawumia ebeka say ono ene ono ne policies or the good kwemu no eno na Cedi no appreciate na otoa so atutu bi de mane Bawumia means obi amra omyanko ensema uncle Kwesi Pratt edutu dwa efa Bawumia comment okoko meki Bawumia commenter odiko tudwa wo Cambridge University last week e wa brokoma lectures omyanko ti.
Listen, first of all, let's take Gideon, what is the name? Gideon Buaku and Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Not long ago, Alhaji Bawumia told us that whilst he was still vice president, he heard petroleum price increases on radio, and it stunned him. He was shocked. He claimed that 3 days to the elections, he heard of petroleum price increases, and he was so shocked, and he couldn't believe how any government could have done that 3 days to an election. So clearly, this is the extent of his involvement in shaping economic policy. Clearly, he's telling us that he was not even involved in the management of the economy. These are not my words. I mean, this is Alhaji Bawumia himself speaking on his thank you tour. Now, it is the same Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia who came to us and said, look, the e-levy was a very bad policy. It imposed hardships on the people of Ghana. And that his government did it to its own detriment. It was one of the reasons why they lost the elections. So what was his involvement in shaping policy and implementing policy? None whatsoever. You understand? And I can go on and list many other things that he disassociates himself from, even as he was vice president of the Akufo-Addo government. So for anybody today to come to us and say that something is happening because of Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia's thinking, influence, and so on in economic management, it's insulting. He was either involved in managing the economy or he was not. He could not be involved in managing the economy and at the same time not involved in managing the economy. It simply doesn't make sense. And when people speak in public, one of the things that they have to do is to try very hard to make some sense. Okay? And I'm finding that lacking. Now again, the movement of the value of currency is something that anybody with a first year secondary school understanding of economics knows. That is determined by many factors, not one factor. There are so many factors that determine the value of a currency. So anybody looking us in the face and saying that one factor is responsible is ignorant. It's not applying the science of economics. There's so many factors, we can count them, so many factors that influence the rise or fall in the value of a currency. And in this particular instance, there are so many factors, not one, who can look us in the face and say that the tariff war that Donald Trump started has not contributed to the stability of or the fall in the value of the dollar. Who can say that? Nobody. You know, unless you're unscientific. But it has. And when you say this, sometimes they look you in the face and say, but what about the Naira? What about the... You see, the Naira is not appreciating because in addition to the tariff war, there are other factors which are affecting the Naira. Okay? Just happens that in the Ghanaian situation, many of the factors affecting the value of our cedi have come together at the same time. So we must understand that. Listen, in our case, in the last 4.5 months, our gold reserves have increased by what I'm told about $2.6 billion. That's a factor. That's a factor. Okay? Which adds up to the tariff war which Donald Trump initiated. The effects of the tariff war which Donald Trump initiated. Okay? Now, what is happening is also the result of speculation. And let me explain why it's the result of speculation. Today, people who hoard dollars are running to get rid of the dollars. So all the people who were told who had dollars under their beds and so on are getting rid of the dollars. That itself is contributing to the appreciation of the value of the cedi. Because they are selling their dollars for cedis at huge quantities. You understand? And that is why, look, the way the value of the dollar is dropping sometimes surprises speculators. Yesterday I'm told it was at 10 cedis, 10.6 or so. Rapid. It's surprising, you understand? So we can count many factors. The governor of the Bank of Ghana also gave his own version of why the cedi is appreciating in value and so on. I think it's right because you have to combine all the different factors in order to determine the cost effects and so on. Now, there is something else. There appears to be general jubilation in NDC circles. And some worry in some quarters as well. You see, the jubilation has to be tempered. It has to be tempered, one, because the behavior of the cedi has different impacts on different sectors of the economy. And that's why you have to temper your jubilation. You see, for importers, this is a huge bonanza, even not for now, but for the future. If you are an importer of petroleum products and so on, it's an immediate bonanza. But if you're not an importer of petroleum products, and you're an importer of goods that you stock over 5 years and so on, it is not an immediate bonanza. Okay. For exporters, it's a disaster. For exporters. Because you get a smaller amount of cedis for what you exported last year than you are getting today. So for importers, it's a disaster. So the effects vary from sector to sector. And we need to understand that. Okay. Now, for me, what we need to do now is an analysis of the Ghanaian economy for us to determine the kind of economy we want to build. Do we want to build an export-led economy? Or do we want to continue an import-led economy? Whatever choices we make would inform how to manage the national currency. Whatever choices we make. Okay? And we should stop this pedestrian cheer-mongering attitude. It doesn't help anybody. Okay. So, first of all, let us determine the kind of economy we want to build. Now, if we determine the kind of economy we want to build, then we can decide how to manage our currency to respond to the economic model that we want to build. We haven't done that. We are cheer-mongering and so on in absolute foolishness.